Hi friends, in the previous lecture of accounting, we have discussed some of the important concepts as well as principles that are useful for examinations. In this lecture, we will be dealing with some of the important terms and its definitions which are useful for exam. As in 2017 examinations, there was a question related to numericals, right? But this numerical was dependent on the definition of the terms that we will be discussing today, right? First, we will be discussing the first concept is deferred revenue expenditure. What is deferred revenue expenditure? It is an expenditure which is revenue in nature. Do remember, it is revenue in nature and incurred during an accounting period, but its benefit are to be derived in multiple future accounting periods. We will understand with simple example. Do If at all you have a bike, then your bike insurance due is on 4th January. That means the insurance will end on 4th January, but you will renew your insurance on 1st January itself in order to avoid the extra due amount. But you are getting the benefit of this insurance on 5th January onwards, right? On 5th January onwards. Then there is a gap of 3 days in between this, 3 or 4 days in between this. Now you are getting the benefit after 4 days. That means you are incurring the pre-expense. That means you are putting your amount in advance so that you can get insurance after 4 days. This is nothing but deferred revenue expenditure. Now you can read the definition. It will be easy to understand. The revenue in nature and incurred during an accounting period, but its benefits are to be derived in multiple future accounting periods. Next, these expenses are unusually large in amount. That means they are unusually large in amount. Essentially, the benefits are not consumed within the same accounting period. That means on the day itself your insurance will not start, but it will start after 3 or 4 days. This is nothing but it will not start on the same day or on the same accounting period, but it will start on the different accounting period. Next, part of the amount which is charged to profit and loss account in the current accounting period is reduced from total expenditure and rest is shown in the balance sheet as an assets. That is fictitious assets. That means it is not a real asset, right? Although this expenditure is shown in your loss and profit account and the remaining amount is shown as an asset. Of course, insurance is an asset for you, right? If at all there is any accident, then the insurance will be claimed. That means it is acting as an asset for you. But it is not the real asset. It is an fictitious assets. That is not really an asset, right? Next, now onwards we will see some of the terms that are important. First one is preliminary expenses. What is preliminary expenses? If at all you are establishing an industry, then you will purchase a land, right? You will hire employees, okay? You will hire employees. You will also build the infrastructure for the organization. This is nothing but even getting before the profit, you are trying to establish the organization from your own pocket, or you have borrowed the loan, right? Borrowed the money, that is loan. This expenses is nothing but preliminary expenses. Now we will see the definition. The expenses incurred when a company is formed. And before the start of any business operations are termed as preliminary expenses. They are good example of fictitious assets which are written off every year from profits earned by the business. Written off, we will try to understand what is written off in the future lecturers. Just for our understanding, we will know what exactly is fictitious assets as well as written off. Written off is nothing but you have 20 rupees invested in your company, right? And in the future you will write off this 20 rupees. That means you know that this 20 rupees will be returned for you after 1 year. Therefore you will cancel this 20 rupees and you will mention it as an asset. This is nothing but write off. That means remove from the accounting book is nothing but write off. So this is the preliminary expenses. Now we will see the examples. Some examples of such expenses incurred before business incorporation are legal cost. That means you should register your company, and for that you should pay to the advocate, as well as to the other members and government fees. This is nothing but legal cost. Then professional fees. What is professional fees? It is nothing but you are paying to the lawyer. He is a professional, and this is nothing but a professional fees. Stamp duty, right? You need to register your company on the bond paper, and for that you need to pay stamp duty. And printing fees. These are nothing but preliminary expenses, examples of preliminary expenses. Next, the second term is purchases. Purchases, purchases. The term purchases are used for an account to record purchases of goods or raw materials for resale or for production or producing of products which are also to be sold. That means, if at all you are running a cotton shop or cotton factory, for that you need a raw material cotton, right? You need to purchase this cotton from farmer or APMC, right? This is nothing but this is your purchase, and you can sell this raw cotton as it is directly, or you can produce the final good, that is cloth, from this cotton, and you can resell it. This is nothing but again a purchase. So purchase is nothing but you can sell it directly, or you can sell it by producing the final product in your organization. The term purchases include both cash and credit purpose of goods. That means, see, you can pay it in cash while purchasing, or you can take a credit from him. That means you can say that I will pay this amount after 1 month. This is nothing but credit for you. In either terms, if you can pay it in the cash or you can take it on the credit, both are nothing but purchases. This is the simple meaning. Goods purchases for cash are termed as cash purchases, and goods purchased on credit are termed as credit purchases, right? That means they have differentiated between the cash purchase and credit purchase. See, if at all you are buying a cotton, right? You have told buying a cotton, you have paid 500 rupees. This is nothing but you have paid it in cash, therefore it is cash purchase. And if at all you have buy cotton, and you have taken credit from him, that means you said that I will pay this 500 after 1 month, and this is credit for you, therefore it is nothing but credit purchase. Okay, this is credit purchase. Hope you have understood. This is simple meaning. If at all you want to go in detail, you can read the handouts that will be provided in PDF format in the Telegram channel. The link will be provided in description, and if at all you have any queries, you can comment. We will try to answer your queries. Next, the third term is sales. What is sales? The simple meaning, everyone knows that what is sales. Sales is nothing but you should take the cotton, you should sell it to the customers, right? This is nothing but sale. Now we'll try to understand it with the definition. The term sale is associated with or used for sale of goods. That means it is associated with sale of goods. As we have taken example, I will purchase the cotton, I will resell it. This is nothing but sale. Or I will purchase the cotton, I will manufacture the cloth, and I will resell it, or I will sell it. This is nothing but sale. These goods may be purchased for resale or manufactured by the enterprise. The term sales include both cash and credit sales. Again, there are two types of sales. One is cash sale and another is credit sale. That means if at all you are selling the product and you are getting cash in term, it is nothing but cash sale. But you are giving credit to another person in order to sell your clothes, then it is credit sale. When goods are sold for cash, they are termed as cash sales, and when they sold on credit, they are termed as credit sales. This is the simple meaning. Next, we will move on to stock or inventory. What is stock or inventory? Okay, as we have taken the example of cotton, I am running a manufacturing unit of cotton or clothes, and I will produce 20 cloths, right? But I will keep 10 cloths as stocks. That means there is no intention for me to sell this 10 cloths, but I am keeping it for my safety or for assurance that if at all there is more demand in the market, I will disclose this 10 cloths and I will sell it. This is nothing but stock. You may call this stock as inventory also. It is nothing but simultaneous of stock as well as inventory. Now we will see it with definition. Stock is tangible assets. What is tangible? That means you can feel it. You can feel it, or you can touch and feel it. Okay, this is important. You can touch and feel it. This is nothing but tangible. Held by an enterprise for the purpose of sale in the ordinary course of business or for the purpose of using it in the production of goods meant for sale. Stock may be opening stock and closing stock. Okay, what is opening stock and what is closing stock? See, while producing in the initial itself, I will save 10 cloths for my reference, and this is nothing but opening stock. Okay, my intention was to sell 30 cloths, but I was able to sell only 20 cloths. At the final, I am remaining with 10 cloths. Then this 10 cloth is nothing but my closing stock. Okay, this is closing stock. Hope you have understood the difference between opening stock and closing stock. Next, this is the definition. It will be provided in handout. Okay, what I have explained, it is nothing but this. Okay, next we will go on to the next term, that is discount. What is discount? Of course, you go to any purchase shop, okay, or any of the retail shop, then the retailer will tell that I am giving you discount of 10 rupees. Okay, what it is? It is nothing but he is reducing his profit margin and providing you the discount so that he can sell more products. This is nothing but discount. See, what is the reduction in the price of goods or from the amount to be paid to a customer by the enterprise? Discount allowed may be trade discount or cash discount. Okay, again there are two types of discounts, that is trade discount and cash discount. Now we'll see what is trade discount. It is the reduction in prices by the seller to the purchaser of goods when they buy goods of certain quantity or value. Sales are recorded at net value, that is sales minus trade discount. Sales are recorded at net value, that is sales minus discount. Similarly, purchases are recorded by the purchase at the net value, that is purchase minus discount. See, we will try to understand with very easy example. I am selling a cloth. Okay, I am selling a cloth for 10 rupees per meter. Okay, 10 rupees per meter. But I will give a discount when you will buy 1000 meter from me. Okay, I will give a discount of 10% when you will buy 1000 meter from me. That means a person, in order to get the discount, he should buy 1000 meter from me. This is nothing but trade discount. Trade discount, because I am keeping a specific unit or amount that should be reached so that I can provide the discount, and this is a tradable discount, therefore it is called trade discount. Now we will see what is cash discount. See, for this 10 meter, for this 1000 meter, he should pay 10,000 for me, right? But I am giving a discount of 10% on this. That means he should pay 9,000 rupees for me. Okay. Again, I will give a discount to him. If at all you pay this 9,000 for me at a time, I will give you 100 rupees discount. Then your cost will be 8,900, right? This is nothing but cash discount. That means if at all the payment is at a time and on the spot, then I will give you a discount of 100 rupees for that payment. But if at all you are not giving it on the time and you are taking the credit from me, then the amount will be 9,000 itself. This is nothing but cash discount. Next, the next term is bad debts. What is bad debts? See, I have given a credit for 5 years for 5 lakh rupees. Okay. What was the condition? He said that he will pay this 5 lakh rupees after 3 years. But after 3 years, he had paid me only 2 lakh rupees and 3 lakh is pending. Now, I have got an assurance that I will not get this 3 lakh rupees back. Now, this 3 lakh is nothing but bad debt for me. Okay, this is very simple understanding that I have told you. It is the amount that I was assured to get, but I am also assured that now this amount will not be getting for me. Therefore, this 3 lakh will be a debt for me or a bad debt for me. Now we will try to understand or learn the definition for it. It is the amount owed to the business, that is return of because it has become irrecoverable. That means there is no way that I can get it back, or there is no way that I can recover it back from him. It is loss for the business and debted to the profit and loss account. That means it is added as a debt to the profit and loss account of my accounting books. This is nothing but bad debts. The next term is very important, that is cost of goods sold. And in 2017 EPFO examination, there was a question on this and it was in numerical format. Now we'll understand what is cost of goods sold. Okay, we will take an example. See, I have bought a groceries. Okay, I have bought a groceries because I have a shop and I need to resell it. I have a bought groceries of 1 lakh rupees. Okay, I have bought groceries of 1 lakh rupees. And I have resold this groceries for 1,20,000 rupees. Okay, I have resold this for 1,20,000 rupees. Now I have a profit of 20,000 rupees, right? I have a profit of 20,000 rupees, but see, this amount is nothing but cost of goods sold. What is the cost that I have got is nothing but cost of goods sold, and this is profit. This is net income. Now in EPF exam, what they have did is that they have given you net income as well as profit. You have to find cost of goods sold. If at all you just minus or subtract the amount of profit from the net income, you will get the cost of goods sold. See, it is direct cost attributed to the production of goods sold and or services rendered. Okay, that is 1 lakh rupees that we have taken an example. Next, in the future lecturers, we will be dealing with accounting procedures. There are two types of accounting. One is traditional approach and second is modern approach. In EPFO examination 2017, there were more questions on this traditional approach, right? Now we will be learning about traditional and modern approach in the future lecturers. So do watch these videos once again because it is very important to understand the concepts, as the future lecturers are dependent on these previous lecturers. And we are very near to end the social security classes, and the playlist is provided on the YouTube. If at all you want PDF of this, you can join the Telegram channel. The link will be provided in descriptions. If at all you are new to our channel, please do subscribe it and press the bell icon for notification. Thanks for watching the video, and please share this video to your friends so that they can get benefit from this. Thank you.